Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this.
They're disgusting. She's Anna Navarro. In your wildest imagination, you could never solo host a show. You will only ever make it as part of an ensemble, and you could never hope to achieve the success. So you can sit in your little cheap seats all day long and enjoy your little negative henpecking, but your careers are going nowhere.
How ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists, but they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last.
The View just got slapped with an $800 million wake-up call, and Megyn Kelly showed up like it's the Super Bowl, popcorn in one hand and a flamethrower in the other. Karoline Leavitt didn't just win her case, she turned the courtroom into her own personal red carpet. Now Megyn's handing out insults like party favors, Joy's staring into the void, and Whoopi looks one-eyed twitch away from detonation. What started as a legal showdown has morphed into primetime chaos. Buckle in, this daytime meltdown just went first class with champagne service.
See, having just paid $15 million for a defamation lawsuit, would think not to engage in conspiracy theories about assassination attempts, but I guess that's too much to ask from The View. I mean, I gotta ask you, because they said it, are you aware of any plots from Elon Musk to push President Trump down the stairs?
Absolutely not. Let me be unequivocally clear.
At long last, daytime TV's queens of snark finally served up something hotter than their lukewarm lattes, an $800 million legal haymaker that sent shockwaves through every dressing room on the ABC lot. Karoline Leavitt, yes, Karoline Leavitt, didn't just beat The View she turned their table talk into table scraps. And Megyn Kelly? She didn't just bring popcorn, she showed up strapped with pure napalm and a front row grin.
Young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for.
1 minute you're tossing quips over cappuccinos in front of millions, and the next you're hemorrhaging cash like a crypto bro after a market nosedive. 4 years, The View coasted on its cocktail of hot takes and holier-than-thou sass, turning public shaming into daytime sport. But here's the plot twist. When you turn gossip into artillery without a lawyer on speed dial, those fun little jabs can morph into lawsuits with more zeros than your rating sheet.
Trump came out and said she's about as pro-choice as they come. And here was the reaction on The View.
I think she hates him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all agree on that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the first lady anymore.
Would you look, this is a network that still runs out fact checks to these women, like it's concerned about them staying fact.
And we're not talking about a gentle wrist slap or a PR-friendly oops. No, this is an $800 million catastrophe. The kind that makes CEOs cry into their Teslas and sponsors disappear faster than a magician's rabbit. It's the financial equivalent of a knockout punch that leaves Network XX huddled in crisis meetings, wondering if rebranding The View as a mindfulness retreat might be the only way to keep the lights on.
Elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sunny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men actually voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80%.
This wasn't just a courtroom defeat. It was a full-scale reckoning with a side of poetic justice. Karoline Leavitt didn't merely win. She detonated a media landmine and strutted away from the blast zone in courtroom stilettos like it was Fashion Week for vengeance. And Megyn Kelly? She saw the crater, smirked, and turned it into a live masterclass titled, How Not to Run a Talk Show When Accountability Finally Shows Up. Because when you trade journalistic integrity for viral catfights and applause breaks, the bill always comes due, and this one arrived with compound legal interest and a public roast for dessert. What began as just another spicy Tuesday on The View mutated into a legal juggernaut that rattled the marble pillars of legacy media like a wrecking ball through a house of cards. At first, it was business as usual, loud takes, performative outrage, a drizzle of misinformation, and zero repercussions. But this time, the producers didn't just toss shade, they cha'd straight into a legal ambush wearing designer heels and blind confidence. Karoline Leavitt wasn't chasing clout. She came armed, with receipts, a courtroom hit squad, and a grudge steeped in monk-tier patience and airport line endurance. This wasn't a clapback, it was a legal concerto, a high-stakes reminder that defamation laws aren't decorative. It was a power move so sharp it guaranteed every future smear will be vetted by 6 lawyers, a priest, and maybe even the ghost of Walter Cronkite before it ever touches a teleprompter.
Will be sworn in as the 47th President of the United States, yay, on January 20th of this month. Not everyone's happy about it, and many people would like us to be more focused on the insurrection that he personally unleashed, if you ask them. As we discussed earlier, they think it's as bad as like the Holocaust, and you don't have to take my word for it. Here is Sunny Hostin.
January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened,
And what a spectacular implosion it was. $800 million isn't a settlement, it's a daytime extinction event. A thermonuclear wipeout that vaporized latte-fueled snark, performative righteousness, and selective truths in one glorious detonation. Somewhere in a Manhattan high-rise, a network exec probably screamed into a $600 throw pillow until it disintegrated into regret and polyester snow. Meanwhile, Karoline Leavitt, calm, unbothered, probably sipping something that sparkles, might already be scrolling yacht listings. A sleek vessel christened Objection Overruled has a nice ring to it. Because let's be honest, she didn't just win a lawsuit, she built a 5-star resort on the moral high ground and started charging day passes. Then cue Megyn Kelly. Not strolling in. Not commenting politely. No, she descended like an IRS audit in Louboutins, clipboard in one hand, flamethrower in the other. Her response wasn't analysis, it was an airstrike, served chilled with a twist of vengeance. She didn't just roast The View, she filleted them, surgical style, with the calm delight of someone who's been front row for this slow-motion train wreck since 2006 and finally got to narrate the explosion. Then came the sermon. Megyn looked straight into the camera and dismantled their sanctimony with the composure of a seasoned surgeon. You say God was watching me, she mused, as if he wasn't watching everyone else. A single eyebrow lift, and the hypocrisy was ash. That's not faith, she said, that's narcissism with a halo. You could almost hear a producer somewhere whisper, pull the plug, as the studio oxygen got sucked out. If sarcasm were an Olympic sport, Megyn just claimed gold, secured a Wheaties box deal, and trademarked the world's most devastating smirk. No yelling. No drama. Just surgical composure and evidence so crisp it screamed louder than any pain list ever could. Her tone was clinical, her logic lethal, her smile the kind that appears in true crime documentaries right before the twist. She didn't need to raise her voice, the truth was already screaming in 4K. What a meltdown for the ages. The View didn't just lose a lawsuit, it got sued into submission, stripped of its smug force field, and left hanging on the line like yesterday's laundry. And that Megyn Kelly smirk? It didn't shout, "I told you so." It whispered it, with the force of a gavel. If courtroom verdicts had a spirit animal, it was Megyn that week, sleek, unshakable, and striding through the wreckage in legally reinforced stilettos. The View didn't just take a financial beating, it lost its illusion of invincibility. But the real question is, how did we even get here? How did a 20-something political powerhouse flat